What if one event triggered a global catastrophe in a matter of days? That event might just be Antarctica melting. Antarctica is not just a distant, icy land at the bottom of the world. It is a critical component of our planet's climate system. It holds approximately 90% of the world's ice and about 70% of all the fresh water available on Earth. Its massive ice sheets are like a frozen reservoir, locking away enough water to change the face of our planet entirely. But what if, in a sudden and catastrophic twist, all of that ice began to melt, not gradually over centuries, but rapidly, all at once? While this scenario is purely hypothetical, it is not entirely science fiction. Scientists have observed that parts of Antarctica are already melting faster than expected, and the prospect of a tipping point, a sudden shift triggered by climate feedback loops, is very real. This video explores what would happen if Antarctica's ice rapidly disappeared, and the terrifying global chain reaction it could unleash. If every single piece of Antarctic ice melted, the global sea level would rise by approximately 58 meters, or about 190 feet. That amount of water would not just flood the edges of our coastlines, it would completely submerge entire cities. Global megacities like New York City, London, Tokyo, Mumbai, and Shanghai would vanish beneath the ocean. It is estimated that more than 2 billion people currently live in areas that would be either completely underwater or rendered uninhabitable by constant flooding. The scale of displacement would be unlike anything humanity has ever faced. Nations would lose entire regions. Cultures, histories, and landmarks would be erased, and the global refugee crisis would reach an unimaginable scale. The sudden influx of fresh water into the world's oceans would dramatically alter salinity levels, disrupting the delicate balance that marine ecosystems depend on. Many marine species are highly sensitive to even slight changes in salt concentration. This massive change would cause widespread die-offs of plankton, fish, and marine mammals. Coral reefs, already under pressure from warming waters, would collapse completely. These vibrant ecosystems support around 25% of all marine life, so their loss would be catastrophic. With food chains broken, commercial fishery industries that feed hundreds of millions of people would face collapse. The ocean, once a rich source of food and biodiversity, would become a shadow of what it once was. As Antarctica melts, it would not just raise sea levels, it would destabilize the very systems that control our planet's weather. The melting would disrupt the jet streams that govern climate patterns across the northern and southern hemispheres. Ocean currents, like the Atlantic meridional overturning circulation, which includes the Gulf Stream, could slow down or even stop. The result? Supercharged hurricanes, longer and deadlier droughts, unpredictable monsoons, and record-breaking heat waves. Regions that once enjoyed stable climates could become deserts or flood zones. Agriculture would suffer, economies would falter, and millions more lives would be at risk. Not from drowning, but from the ripple effects of a broken climate. The immediate and long-term economic consequences of a rapid Antarctic melt would be devastating. Trillions of dollars in infrastructure, including homes, businesses, power plants, airports, and entire urban centers, would be swallowed by rising seas. Financial districts in cities like New York, London, and Hong Kong would be wiped out, taking global markets down with them. The insurance industry, already strained by increasingly extreme weather events, would collapse under the sheer scale of losses. Entire sectors would become uninsurable. As trade routes shift, agricultural land vanishes, and global supply chains crumble. Nations would plunge into a severe and prolonged economic depression. The world economy, as we know it, could cease to function. It might seem ironic. More water everywhere, yet not a drop to drink. But that is the terrifying paradox of this scenario. While global oceans swell with newly released Antarctic meltwater, freshwater would become even more scarce. Salt water would infiltrate coastal aquifers, poisoning drinking water supplies for millions. As farmland floods and irrigation becomes impossible in many areas, food production would crash. Crops fail not only due to rising seas, but also because of shifting weather patterns, salinized soil, and lack of clean water. The result would be global food and water shortages on an unprecedented scale. The sudden uninhabitability of coastal regions would displace billions of people. This would spark the largest migration crisis in human history. Nations would face overwhelming waves of climate refugees, placing impossible pressure on borders, infrastructure, and economies. As countries struggle to house, feed, and protect their citizens, along with those fleeing rising seas, political stability would begin to crumble. Conflicts over land, fresh water, and food would erupt, possibly escalating into full-scale wars. Nations that are already vulnerable could collapse entirely, while others would be pushed to the brink. Once Antarctic ice starts melting rapidly, it may be impossible to stop. Climate systems contain what scientists call tipping points, thresholds beyond which changes become self-perpetuating. One of the most critical feedback loops is the ice albedo effect. As ice melts, it exposes darker ocean water or land, which absorbs more solar energy, causing even faster melting. This runaway effect could make Antarctica's melt irreversible within a matter of decades. Scientists are already seeing signs of instability in parts of the West Antarctic ice sheet, raising serious concern that we may be approaching, or may have already crossed, a point of no return. If this happens, humanity will be dealing with the consequences for centuries to come. While it won't all melt overnight, parts of Antarctica are melting faster than ever before. This isn't just a what if, it's a what now. Stay curious, stay informed. And if this gave you something to think about, don't forget to like and subscribe for more eye-opening stories from science and beyond.